5 News at Noon starts now.
Well, a verdict is reached in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. We'll have more on the jury's decision and what comes next for the music mogul. And the July 4th holiday is getting closer and people are getting ready for those fireworks shows. What you need to know if you plan on shooting fireworks. Thanks for joining us for your 5 News at Noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Danny Cassidy. And we're starting with weather right now because it's important this week.
Yes.
But it sounds like that there's not too much to worry about except maybe the heat, maybe a few showers.
Wait, is there something going on this week?
Maybe something.
I was going to say, I think, Thomas Jefferson and company wrote the Declaration, something like that.
Yeah. A few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago, about 249. But yeah, no, I know that's the big question. Is it going to rain during those fireworks? Well, the short answer is maybe. It's like, great, Danny, you answered my question. That gives a lot of clarity. But the thing is that I think for the most part, it'll be dry for a majority of us. But might be a unfortunate few that do see a couple of showers on the 4th of July. Right now, though, over Fort Smith, 86 degrees, feels like 92. That humidity has crept back in from the south. We're getting a little bit of a south breeze, just enough to where it's bringing up that humidity, and then, it just feels a little bit sticky out there. For northwest Arkansas, it's not feeling too shabby, a little bit lower of humidity, so it's going to feel not too bad in the mid-80s for our high temperatures, and then we'll see those temperatures dip into the upper 60s and low 70s tonight. Then for the River Valley, we'll see highs in the low 90s, and if that feels like, it'll feel like the mid to upper 90s, so not great, but nothing we haven't seen over the past couple of days. And overall high temperatures for today, northwest Arkansas, as I mentioned, the mid to upper 80s, upper 80s, low 90s in the River Valley. Well, partly cloudy skies, light winds. I think we'll see maybe sprinkles at best, but I don't think we'll see any substantial rain chances. Where that might change is starting tomorrow, and then yes, for the 4th of July, we might see a couple of rain chances, but as it goes into the rest of the week, they'll be kind of on and off. Again, the good news is it doesn't look widespread, but those rain chances are there for the 4th of July. So the latest on those forecasts is coming up in just a little bit. Morgan.
Thanks, Danny. Well, the jury has reached a verdict in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial, clearing the hip-hop mogul of the most serious charges. Bradley Blackburn has more on the verdict from the courthouse.
The jury found Sean Diddy Combs not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. He was found guilty of arranging transportation to engage in prostitution. The verdict is seen as a big win for the defense.
The government has to have their tail between their legs. This is just a huge loss for them. They went out on a limb, and the jury, saw it the way the defense saw it.
Prosecutors argued the hip-hop mogul was the leader of what they described as a criminal enterprise over 2 decades, one that forced women into engaging into abusive sex acts during drug-fueled parties he called freak-offs. Their star witness was Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Whether or not the freak-offs cross that line from maybe morally questionable or seriously questionable to illegal, I think that's where things broke down for the prosecution.
Combs' family members showed their support in the courtroom, where the defense argued all sexual encounters were consensual. They accused the prosecution of putting Combs on trial for his lifestyle, trying to criminalize his private conduct. The jury of 8 men and 4 women sifted through 28 days of testimony, much of it graphic and emotional. Throughout their deliberations, Combs prayed with family and friends as he faced the threat of life behind bars.
I think some prison time could absolutely be on the table, again, given everything that we've heard in this case.
As the verdict was read, Combs looked at the jury and held his hands in a prayer motion, then hugged his attorney. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
After the verdict, the defense asked for Combs to be released on bail until sentencing, which the prosecution opposed. The judge asked both sides to submit written arguments before he decides. And momentum is building around President Trump's massive spending bill. The Senate passed the plan by a narrow margin, and now it heads to the House, where the final vote could come as soon as today. President Trump's $4.5 trillion spending plan cleared the Senate by just a few votes, setting up a critical showdown in the House. The bill extends the 2017 tax cuts, adds relief for tips and overtime pay, and boosts border and defense spending. But it also slashes $1 trillion from health programs like Medicaid, and budget analysts warn it could add another $1 trillion to the national deficit.
This bill gets Americans back to winning again.
If this ugly bill passes, it's going to get a lot uglier when people realize what's in it.
President Trump is making direct calls to rally support, hoping to deliver a major legislative win by July 4th. Well, a car theft case in Benton County has been dropped. Prosecutors say the issue wasn't the evidence itself, but the way investigators collected it. Prosecutors in Benton County have dismissed the car theft case against 20-year-old Peter. They say circumstances surrounding the confession have drawn serious legal and ethical scrutiny. Court documents and an internal investigation revealed that former Gentry Police Sergeant Derek Rios allowed Peter's relative into an interview room where Peter, handcuffed and in custody, was assaulted. Documents state Rios then left the room and turned off his body camera. Peter confessed shortly after. Prosecutors say the confession was central to the case, but now they can't use it because of what they describe as a breach of due process. Benton County prosecuting attorney Brian Sexton says the law tied his hands.
It's something that bothers me because we're not going to necessarily get a good outcome of it. And the statute of limitations issue, though, is something that I have to embrace. It's pretty clear. Case law, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the way that this case was put together, it wasn't found by anybody until it was too late.
Prosecutors say they were legally barred from filing charges against Rios or the relative due to the one-year statute of limitations for misdemeanor battery. The Arkansas State Police completed an investigation, and Rios now faces possible decertification as a law enforcement officer. Well, Walmart's Global Investigations Division helped police track a Benton County manslaughter suspect who fled the country. Court documents show surveillance images from a Dallas Walmart captured Alejandro Zenon-Raya's family just days after Alexis Wynn was shot and killed in Rogers in 2022. Detectives say the family was seen leaving a black Suburban with Arkansas plates and may have been there to buy new phones. Zenon-Raya is just 14 at the time, is accused of killing Wynn. His family is accused of then helping him escape to Mexico. He's now 18 and is in custody in Benton County. Meanwhile, his family members are scheduled to stand trial later this month. Well, a new report shows abortions in the U.S. are on the rise following the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. The Society of Family Planning says there were more than 1.1 million abortions in the U.S. last year. Most took place in states where abortion remains legal, and about 1 in 4 were provided through telehealth services.
With the Dobbs decision and multiple states banning abortion outright, it became clear that there would be a real need for access to telehealth abortion, increased need for access to telehealth abortion. And so multiple states passed shield laws, which means that the providers in their states can mail abortion pills to people in any part of the country, including states that have banned abortion. So in states like Arkansas and Oklahoma and 12 other states that have banned abortion outright, that is one of the main ways that people can receive pills.
Here's a look at statewide trends. Both Arkansas and Oklahoma saw abortions drop sharply after state bans took effect, but gradually rise again as telehealth providers outside of state lines filled the gap. In Arkansas, the study found about 350 abortions per month now come from telehealth. In Oklahoma, the average number today also hovering around 350 per month. Well, a renewed effort is underway to help Arkansas businesses respond to the opioid crisis with compassion and tools. Leaders from across Arkansas are relaunching Together Arkansas, a program designed to help employers support workers who are struggling with opioid addiction. The initiative is a partnership between Arkansas Blue Cross, the state chamber, and the Arkansas Opioid Recovery Partnership, and it's growing thanks to new funding from opioid settlement dollars. Organizers say recovery often begins on the job, and small businesses need tools to recognize the signs and offer support.
If you're sitting in a chair right now and you think you don't know anybody with this problem, you're wrong. You do know somebody. They just haven't made a mess of their life enough that you've been able to identify it, or they haven't told you. It is more prevalent than you can possibly imagine.
Together, Arkansas is now reaching all 75 counties, and employers can access free resources on the organization's website. Well, Springdale City Council is close to approving nearly $5 million to build a new fire station on Wagon Wheel Road. The City Council's Police and Fire Committee unanimously pushed forward a construction budget of $4.7 million, putting the new firehouse to a full City Council vote next Tuesday night. The money for the project comes from a $360 million bond that Springdale voters approved in May of 2023. Assistant Fire Chief Jim Vaughn says Station 10 will bridge a gap in emergency response time. If approved, the Springdale Fire Department expects to hire 12 new firefighters to staff the station, with 6 of those hires happening in August to start training. Well, looking ahead, the 4th of July is just 2 days away now, and the National Park Service is reminding visitors that fireworks are banned at all national parks. That includes the Buffalo National River. As holiday celebrations approach, park rangers at the Buffalo National River are stepping up patrols to enforce the strict no fireworks policy. Fireworks are banned year-round on National Park Service lands, no matter the season or the weather. Violators could face fines or other penalties, and officials encourage visitors to enjoy fireworks displays in surrounding communities instead. Well, depending on where you live, fireworks rules vary, so here's what to know before you celebrate. In Bentonville and Rogers, private fireworks are allowed with restrictions through July 4th. In places like Lowell and Pea Ridge, the window stretches up to a full week, but aerial fireworks attached to sticks, like bottle rockets, are banned in nearly every city. Well, according to the Department of Veterans Affairs, 7% of all veterans will have PTSD at some point in their lives. According to Vet Center Director Shauna Sapp, the effects of PTSD can be triggered by fireworks explosions and can persist long after Independence Day.
We got to think about, the effects that this is going to have on them following the days after, because a lot of times it's not just in the moment.
Officials say letting your neighbors who served know the specific time you plan to celebrate is a thoughtful way to keep your community informed. Well,